Hello, welcome to Have Roots Will Travel. My name is Lisa Elvin Stoltare, and I'm a genealogist and a passionate traveler. We have been exploring this past year Les Filles du Roi. We're now on episode number 113. That's 112 episodes we have done prior to this. Please have a look at my website, haverootswilltravel.com. If you're looking for previous episodes, I've provided the links and all of that. On my Facebook group, whenever I post a new video, I put the link to it as well, so you can check that out. I would love for you to subscribe and click on the notifications alert. And with that being said, let's get started and look at episode number 113 and who is our fille du roi. So this is an interesting one because there are two Francoise Pilois. I'm going to do number one. Number one is not, no one has requested her. And obviously someone requested Pilois number two. So I said, well, I'm going to do both because I want us to see. I would love, love to find out who is a descendant of this Francoise Pilois number one. So let's get started and find out more about her. So she was born in 1634. That's a little older than our usual fille du roi. She was born in Paris in the first arrondissement, and the church Saint-Germain-l'Auxerrois. Her parents were Gervais Pilois and Hélène Tellier. So the church of Saint-Germain-l'Auxerrois is found in the first arrondissement, and it is directly across from the Louvre Palace. It was named for the Germanus of Auxerre, the Bishop of Auxerre, in 378, who lived in that time period, who became a papal envoy and who met Saint Geneviève, the patron saint of Paris, on his journey. Geneviève is reputed to have converted the Queen Clotilde and her husband, the French King Clovis, to Christianity at the tomb of Saint Germain Auxerre. So that's the legend, if you will. Now, the current church was built in the 13th century with major modifications in the 15th and 16th. From 1608 until 1806, it was the parish church for the inhabitants of the palace, and many notable artists and architects who worked on or in the palace had their tombs in the church. Since the 2019 fire, which badly damaged Notre Dame de Paris, the cathedral's regular services were held at Saint-Germain-l'Auxerrois. Now, the first arrondissement of Paris is one of the 20 arrondissements. That, remember, we talked about the fact that they're all in circles. It's also known as Le Louvre because the Louvre Museum takes up most of it. It's one of the oldest areas in Paris, and it was conquered. It was known as the city of Lutetia, and conquered by the Romans in 52 BC. You can't get much older than that. And some parts of the right bank, including the Al, date back to the early Middle Ages. It's the least populated because it really it's really small. And a significant part, like I said, is taken over by the Louvre Museum and the Tuileries Gardens. The Forum des Halles is the largest shopping mall in Paris. It's been around, as you heard, since the Middle Ages. And much of the remainder of the arrondissement is dedicated to business administration. So we know at least that the Halles was at the first arrondissement when she was there, when Françoise Pilois the First was there. So let's find out more about her journey to New France. So upon her mother's death, at age 34, she emigrated as a fille du roi, and she came under Jean-Baptiste on June 30th, 1669. I don't have any information about a dowry, so she just kind of plucked herself up and said, okay, I'm going to a new land. So she was housed for a time at La Maison Saint-Gabriel. Let me give you a little history of Maison Gabriel. Which was founded by Marguerite Bourgeois, who was the founder of the Notre Dame Congregation de Montréal. She was by far the most influential woman in Quebec and certainly Montreal's history. She was born in France, and in 1653, at the age of 33, she was invited to come to New France and establish a religious congregation and school by Paul de Chomedy, the Sire de Maisonneuve, the governor of the French settlement at Montreal. She established the Notre Dame congregation and helped organize the church. The governor allowed her to use his stable as the first schoolhouse, and this in turn became the first public school in Montreal. In 1663, she continued her work with the Filles du Roi by using the farm she purchased on Pointe Saint-Charles to feed the poor and create a source of revenue for the church. She housed them at this particular place. The Filles du Roi would come here and receive instruction on their new lives, including cooking and sewing, and the sisters would oversee the selection of their husbands. Marguerite would continue until her death, creating educational and religious opportunities that would help the struggling town of Ville-Marie, which would one day become the mighty Montreal. So this is where Francoise would have stayed. Just amazing. So the groom that she selected and who selected her, his name was André Bersin de Lafleur, and he was born in 1635, so he's about the same age as her, in a place called Aurillac, which is part of in the region of Nouvelle-Aquitaine that we've talked about, and it is in the Département de Creuse. It is one of the, it's like a very small village, okay? And you can see that it really is a farming community. The church where he would have been baptized still is there. The church of, the Aurillac. And also I put a picture up here because this is what he did for a living. He was a cooper. He was a person trained to make wooden casks, barrels, vats, bucket, tubs, and other similar containers from timber that were usually heated or steamed to make them pliable. So that was what he brought with him as a skill set. But before he had to use that skill set, he joined up with the Carignan Regiment, La Fredière, and he arrived in New France August 19, 1665. So on December 2nd, 1669, about 4 years after he arrived, André arrived, and about 6 months after she landed in Quebec, they were married. And they were married in Montreal at the Notre Dame Church, and this is their marriage record. So the family would settle at Verchères, and I just want to draw your attention to the map so you can kind of get a visual of where in Quebec it is located. So it's just up north of Montreal, south of Sorel, south of Three Rivers, that sort of thing. Now the history of Verchères, it still is a very small community. It's about 5,000 people, and it's situated on the south shore of the St. Lawrence River. The history of it is 1665, François Jarret, Sœur de Verchères, obtained a commission with the Carignan Regiment, and he was sent to New France. In 1672, he was granted the Seigneurie of Verchères for his military service. During wartime, the seigneurie was subjected to frequent Iroquois attacks. To combat this problem, de Verchères erected a palisade around the manor house. It was from this defense of this palisade that the legend of his daughter, 14-year-old Marie-Madeleine Jarret de Verchères, originates. Those of you who have explored with me Sainte-Anne-de-la-Pérade, where she ended up, know well her story and all of that. But that statue is in Versailles. So a really, really remarkable heroine, very well known in Quebec. Just gives you this picture on the right or in the middle will give you an idea of how right along the river it is. And then we have the 1681 census. We have André Balzac Tonnelier, which is the French word for cooper. So he is back to practicing his profession. We have Francoise Lucie Pilois, and she was 46. Their children, André 11, Marie 9, Madeleine 7, Marguerite 4, Catherine 2. They have 1 gun, 2 bêtes à cornes, that's 2 goats, and 5 arpents valants, so about 3 to 4, probably 3.5 acres of land. Let's have a look at the family they created. Remember, they were in their mid-30s when they were married. So let's have a look at, they did have 6 children. So we have André, who died just shortly after the 1681 census. We have Marie, who married Simon Dominique Pitot and had 10 children, 9 of whom made it. Marie-Madeleine married Vincent Poupeau and had 1 child. She then married, who made it. She then married Jean Bizot and had 3 children before her early death at 28. All her children made it. Marguerite did not marry, but did have 1 child, a natural one, i.e. no marriage, with a man named Jacques Morel. Marianne, her daughter, would go on to marry Sébastien Bibisson. If you descend from this line, I would love to know. Just because it's like I don't have any information. Catherine married Geoffrey Vincent and had 2 children. And then she married, both of whom made it. And then she married Pierre Guidon and had 2 children, both of whom made it. Ignace married Angélique Saint-Laurent and had 7 children, all of whom made it. So have a look at that date, 1683. I listed that she was born in 1634. That would have made her 49 years of age when she gave birth to her final child. Just remarkable. I'm just saying. Like, I had a child at 38 and it was hard enough. At 49, amazing, amazing. And I'm pretty sure it's accurate. So André Bersa died sometime before November of 1698 at about age 63. Francoise would pass away after 1702 at about age 67. We do not have a death record for either of them. I have put a picture of the church at Versailles where I'm thinking and hoping that they are both resting in peace. They were an older couple in their 30s when they married, but they would join together and have 5 children, and by 1729 would have 72 descendants. I think that's remarkable. I really, really do. And so here are some resources that I would urge you to check out. Number one, La Société des Filles du Roi, the Society of Filles du Roi. I am a member and also the membership chairperson. But even before I became a member, I was using that website. So there are spots that you can use and really, really good. And of course, being a member, you get a certificate and all that good stuff. So Quebec Genealogical E-Society is newer. But it's been around for, I guess, 6 or 7 years, I'm pretty sure. I have been a member for several years, love it, and I love to see its growth. It's really growing. So check that out if you would. And then we have Nos Origines, which is a free site, kind of a group think kind of project. So I love going to explore what other people have put in. We have Généalogie Québec, which I always think is like Ancestry.com for French Canadians. Then we have Migration, which is really everything you ever wanted to know about Les Filles du Roi and the Carignan Regiment soldiers. Amazing, amazing website. It doesn't cost anything, but I donate just because I think it's remarkable. And I use it so often that I feel guilty. I feel guilty if I didn't put something down. And then we have Facebook, Les Filles du Roi Descendants, a wonderful Facebook group. Very kind, very generous of spirit. Not at all, as you hear some of these Facebook groups. A very, very kind place. So love that particular Facebook group. And with that, we end episode 113 of Francoise Pilois, number 1. I think it's a remarkable story, and I'm glad I was able to share it, because to start your life over, essentially, in the mid 30s, in the 1600s, is like a testament. And I love that. I love the fact that she never gave up and was there and basically had children, and the fact that they have 72 descendants is remarkable. So I'm really, really glad I got an opportunity to share this story. We thank Francoise for her contribution, for her stamina, and we bless her memory. Thank you, Francoise. Until I see you on episode 114, au revoir.